Hi, good evening. It's Tim here. We had some technical glitches last night with the live stream. I'm still trying to navigate YouTube here, and we have one page that's not talking to another configuration page, and it's kind of a mess to deal with. But I'm looking at the panel here. It says you're live 7/31/2016, Forecast Laboratory, stream status OK. So I think we're good this time. So this is going to be a quick and dirty again. We're just kind of working out the bugs here, waiting for some real weather to come up because, we're kind of in the doldrums. We have a monsoon pattern going on right now. That doesn't affect Texas so much, but you can see a lot of thunderstorms there across the southern Rockies. So why do we have this monsoon pattern? Keep in mind that it's August. So we have a lot of tropical moisture down in the Gulf of Mexico, down in Old Mexico, and in the Gulf of California. We also have a well-established heat low in Nevada, in the desert southwest, basically in this desert region of the Mojave and into Nevada. And when we have this low here, we usually see wind. Let me pick a good color here. There we go. So we have air flowing from higher subtropical high pressure into this low, streaming northward, and that gives us a semi-permanent flow of air from south into Arizona, Utah, and Nevada. So that's why our monsoon is active. It usually takes until July to get this pattern going, but in August we're in the thick of it, and yeah, you can see right there lots of showers and thunderstorms all the way from Roswell, Midland, westward to Tucson, Flagstaff, and Las Vegas. And it goes as far west as around Ely, Tonopah, and Coldell. Let's take a look at the surface chart real quick. In fact, before I do that, let me go to the Weather Service warnings page. That's a good place to start and make sure we're not overlooking any cool weather going on right now. And it's pretty quiet. We do have some severe watches in the western Dakotas. Very quiet out east, just some typical air mass showers around the Philadelphia area north to Pottstown. And out west, red flag advisories from the Salt Lake deserts up to around Billings and Great Falls. And another red flag warning for Oregon. So it looks like the bulk of the heat has shifted a tiny bit north. And in southern Utah, there we go. We got the monsoon active, and that's causing some risks for the canyons and a lot of the mountainous terrain in that region. So we were going to look at the surface chart, and let's do that real quick. Okay. That's a surface chart for Texas, but we want to go out west. I remember we were seeing 110s all over the place a couple days ago. Looks a lot better this time. Mostly just 101, 102 in Phoenix. That's probably a little bit below average. 97 in Vegas. It's cooled down quite a bit. And indeed, the heat has moved north because we're seeing the hundreds up at Fallon, Lovelock, Reno, Winnemucca, and Elko. Well, actually, it's a little bit cooler up north, but still hundreds, that's pretty well up there. And you can see the flow of monsoon air kind of wandering north, kind of like that. You see something kind of unusual in Arizona on the surface chart? Here's a hint, it's the dew point. Look at those 60s there. That's very moist for Arizona. Normally we see 40s and 50s this time of year. Sometimes we do get 60s, and this is one of those cases. 63, 62, that's kind of on the low side for the Great Plains, but for Arizona, that's rich moisture. So if we draw isodrosotherms, here's the 60 line, runs about like that, all the way up to Laughlin, up to Palm Springs, and then around San Diego, just kind of like that. So there's our 60 line. Then I'll draw a quick 55. We can see that touching up towards the Cedar City area of Utah. So already we can kind of see the incursion of monsoon air. I'll draw a 65 here, and then maybe 150 line. That's going to run kind of like that. So we combine that with the wind flow. So now you can kind of see these streamlines here. You can see the flow of monsoon air. Once it hits the higher terrain, we get orographic lift and we get showers and storms forming. So that's kind of what's going on there. So most of it right now is confined to the higher terrain. I went to Meteostar last night when I was doing the forecast, and it was down. I kind of wonder if we've lost that resource or something. See here, it's trying to connect. You can see the URL there. That was always a good model site. It was looked very good for YouTube streaming, but I don't know what's happened to those guys. Let me check one thing here. I'll go to their standard www site and see if maybe their subdomain is posed, and I think that is the case. So maybe their model website is kind of messed up. Okay, anything else to look at? It's kind of a dull evening, and like I said, we're mostly experimenting right now. I'm not promoting this channel very much because I'm still just kind of messing with it and trying to get everything working right on the open broadcaster side. So we're just going to look at the monsoon mostly for tonight, and there it is. If I draw the 60 line in Texas, that's going to stay pretty far south there. 55. And then our 50 line is going to go something like that. So yeah, one little edge of moisture working up to the higher terrain in New Mexico. So that's allowing for a few showers there in central New Mexico and probably along the mountains of the Sangre de Cristos, is that right? Whatever's west of Pueblo and Colorado Springs. It's been a while since I've been out there, but anyway. And the last thing we'll look at real quick is just the satellite for out west. Whenever we get some good weather here in Texas and the eastern U.S., we'll definitely cover that, but right now the focus is going to be out west, because those are the guys that are getting some weather. And there we go, some storms along the Mogollon Rim, not so much in the valleys of Phoenix and Tucson, and a couple showers there around Laughlin and south of Boulder City. Those are going to be kind of high base there, so really not a whole lot going on. And the big thing that I'm watching for is hurricane season. Watching a couple systems moving up into the Caribbean. Looks like we've lost that one system that was out here. That's disappeared from their map, but they've upgraded this system here, which is south of Puerto Rico. And I was kind of hoping that would head for the Gulf. You know, because when it heads for central New Mexico or Central America, these things are usually more damaging, and here in the U.S. we can kind of take that stuff a little bit better, and it gives us something to look at for these programs. So I think we kind of lost that one. But, you know, again, if that comes on the coast there of Belize and the Yucatan, we'll keep an eye on that. Okay. So one more look at the satellite. I'm going to pull up the visible. The sun is going down in most places on the U.S. Can still see a bit of stuff out in the Rockies, and there's that monsoon. That's very typical of what we see in the Central Rockies this time of year. And what we have up in Canada is more baroclinic. So there's probably some weather systems moving through that area. Probably some good chase prospects, and maybe I'll take a quick look at that on GR level 2 to give us one little thing before I sign off. One thing I do want to start doing is focusing on the chat and have some interaction going. I'm not really good at that just yet because there's a whole bunch of windows open and I can't really see that panel very well. But once we get going with a lot of people on and a can coming in or an MCS moving through, we'll probably start fielding questions and kind of make this into a classroom type deal. Okay, so let's see. Select. We're going to go to North Dakota, all the way up to Minot. And I'll start the polling on that real quick. So we're going to find those storms somewhere out here. It's probably just going to be a loose aggregation of multi-cells, maybe a broken squall line, that kind of deal. We are downloading the data, so it should be here very shortly. Started off in spectrum width there because I was messing with that last night, and there we go. That's a very multicellular mess. Doesn't look like anything severe. And this even looks kind of high-based. So not a lot to look at there. It looks like one pretty good cell way up there in Saskatchewan. That's pretty far out. We're looking at this up at 20,000 feet. But that's probably, that could be a supercell. It's either a line multicell or a supercell. I don't know which, but, you know, because we are about 130 miles from the radar. So probably some good chasing going on there. Anyway, that's about all I have for tonight. We're going to probably pick this up again tomorrow at 8. And I think we've got things working good, so we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.